$27 million, dead silence across the league, and Bleacher Report just called this the most underrated move of the entire NFL offseason. Chig Okonquo is in Washington, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to break down exactly why this man could be the weapon nobody saw coming for Jaden Daniels. But I'm also going to tell you something most fans don't want to hear about this signing, because while Okonquo is arriving in Ashburn to fill the void Zach Ertz left behind, there's a third-round rookie that Field Yates at ESPN just put on his list of the 20 players with the highest expected immediate impact in the entire league, and this man operates exactly in the space where Jaden Daniels is most dangerous. I'm going to tell you who he is and why the fit is almost perfect. But I'm also going to tell you why the depth chart behind Terry McLaurin is still a massive question that this signing alone does not answer. And just when you thought the minicamp had nothing left to give you, there's a fifth-round edge rusher that Ben Standing said something about that completely changes how you need to read Dan Quinn's defensive plan for the next 2 years. It's not what you were expecting to hear, and once you understand it, the picture of this defense, the one that finished 27th in points allowed last season, is going to look very different. Raise hail. This is what's happening right now in Ashburn. $27 million, 3 years, and almost nobody talked about it when it happened. That is what blows my mind about this story, because Bleacher Report just called the Chig Okonquo signing the single most underrated move of the entire NFL offseason. And look, when I really sit with that, they are absolutely right. Let me take you back for a second. Zach Ertz, our tight end, the man who literally resurrected his career right here in Washington and became one of Jaden Daniels' most trusted targets, tears his ACL in Week 14 against the Vikings. Season over, and honestly, probably that version of Ertz is gone for good considering the man is 35 years old. That leaves a massive hole, not just on the roster, but in the root tree. Ertz was Jaden's safety valve. He was the receiver JD looked to when the pocket was collapsing. He was 4 touchdowns in 2025. He was the guy who got you the first down when you needed it most. That is not easy to replace. And then Adam Peters walks in, cool as always, and signs Chig Okonquo, $27 million guaranteed, 3 years, up to $30 million with incentives. Now, who is Chig Okonquo? Because if you're a casual fan, you might not have the full picture. 6'3", 238 pounds. He ran the 40 in 4.52 seconds at the combine. That is tight end with wide receiver speed. Bro, 4 seasons in Tennessee with the Titans, a team that went from bad to worse, 3 different head coaches, an organization in full rebuild mode, and even then, Okonquo never quit, never complained, and kept producing. 194 receptions, 2,017 yards, 8 touchdowns over 4 years, and the number that gets me the most, 5th among all NFL tight ends over the last 4 seasons in missed tackles forced. That means when this man catches the ball, he is not easy to bring down. He has that combination of after-contact speed and evasion that gives defensive coordinators nightmares, and what Alex K. of Bleacher Report writes is exactly right. Okonquo never reached his ceiling in Tennessee because the system simply would not let him shine. The Titans had no offensive creativity, no weapons, no elite quarterback. It was literally trying to create magic with broken tools. Now put him next to Jaden Daniels, put him in David Blau's system, one that is going to use more under-center snaps, more play action, more perimeter designs. Put him opposite Terry McLaurin on the outside. You understand what is about to happen? Defenses are going to have to choose. You cover McLaurin on the outside, Okonquo kills you on the seam route. You send double safety help over Terry, Okonquo is one-on-one with a linebacker who cannot match his speed. That is elite spacing. That is what makes an offense impossible to defend. And look, 68 consecutive regular season games, never missed one in 4 years of professional football. That durability matters. That consistency matters. When Dan Quinn talks about building a culture of reliability, Okonquo is exactly the type of player that fits that mold. JP Finley said it perfectly on X. Commanders land a pass, catching tight end in Chig Okonquo. 26 years old, 50-plus, catches the last 2 seasons, played college ball at UMD. Really strong option to help Jaden Daniels. And ESPN's John Keem added, Commanders land an athletic tight end who provides a different look from that position. Ian Rappaport put it the simplest way possible when the deal went down. The Commanders land the top tight end available. That is the kind of quiet signing that in August, when we get to training camp, we're all going to look at each other and say, how did we not talk about this more? Trust the process, DMV. Adam Peters knows exactly what he is building. When ESPN analysts start making lists of the round 2 through 7 rookies with the most expected immediate impact, and your third-round pick shows up on that list, that is not noise. That is signal. Field Yates of ESPN identified 20 players, 10 on offense, 10 on defense, selected outside of the first round that he expects to make the greatest immediate impact in the NFL. And Antonio Williams, our 71st overall pick out of Clemson, made that cut. Now, what Yates wrote is worth reading closely. He is an extremely experienced, savvy, pro-ready wideout who can start in the slot from day one. That is not generic praise. That is a player diagnosis, and when an evaluator of Yates' caliber says pro-ready from day one, he is telling you that this kid's learning curve is going to look very different from most rookies. Why? Because Williams was a 4-year starter at Clemson, 4 years primarily in the slot. That means he already knows how to read coverages. He already knows when to break off his route. He already understands timing with his quarterback. That stuff normally takes 2 or 3 years in the NFL, and he already has it from college, and the fit is perfect. Jaden Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks in the league in the short to intermediate game. Accuracy, anticipation, timing, that is exactly the space where Williams operates. Put him in the slot, let him work, and JD is going to find him at his break points before the defense can even react. Now, from the minicamp, Ben Standig, one of the best beat reporters covering Washington, singled Williams out specifically in an interview with B. Mitch and Finley on 106.7 The Fan. Standig talked about Williams releasing off the line of scrimmage, the hands, the burst, and he described seeing the traits that made him attractive to a team looking to get more pop at that receiver spot. Because that is the entire point, fam. The Commanders need that pop. Deebo Samuel is still a free agent. Luke McCaffrey is still a project. Jalen Lane is unproven. De'Ami Brown has been here for years without breaking through. The depth chart behind Terry McLaurin has been a major question mark, and Williams arrives with concrete answers from the very first day of practice. I am not going to sit here and tell you he is going to catch 100 passes as a rookie, but I will tell you that the probability of this man finding a significant role in the Commanders' offense in 2026 is very, very real. And for a 71st overall pick, that is exactly what Adam Peters needs from this draft class. Rookie minicamp is basically walkthroughs. Nobody is running full speed. Nobody is making contact. And honestly, most observations have to be taken with a massive grain of salt. But Standig mentioned something about Joshua Josephs, our 5th-round edge rusher, pick 147, that really stuck with me. His length was pretty evident, Standig said. And what he added is the interesting part. Joseph's role in his rookie year is going to be simple. Go get the quarterback. That is the whole job, and Standig followed that with something I thought was really honest and really smart. The second part of that is get ready for 2027 when the defensive ends and edge types are going to be hitting free agency. We need to see you there. And that tells me something about how this organization is thinking long-term, because the Commanders signed Odafe Owe and K'Lavon Chaisson in free agency, and Chaisson had the best year of his career with the Patriots in 2025. But those are short to medium-term contracts. Sustained pass rush needs young depth, and if Josephs uses 2026 to learn, to develop, to understand how to play the edge at the NFL level, and arrives in 2027 ready to take on a bigger role, that is exactly the type of smart roster construction that makes teams good in a sustained way. And of course, we cannot talk about this defense without addressing the room. Sonny Styles, the 7th overall pick, the Ohio State linebacker who is already generating conversation before he puts on real pads in burgundy and gold. Dan Quinn said something important this week, that during the spring and training camp, they are going to work Styles at multiple positions to find where he can have the greatest impact. And he used this line that I loved: there are no limits on what I think he can become. That is not a coach being vague. That is a coach who recognizes he has a player with an extremely high ceiling and wants to give him the time and space to find exactly how to maximize him within defensive coordinator Durante Jones's system, a coordinator who arrives from Minnesota with Brian Flores' aggressive principles as his foundation. A defense that last season ranked 27th in points allowed, 30th in rushing yards allowed, and 28th in passing yards allowed, with Durant Jones, with Sonny Styles, with Owe and Chason off the edge, and hopefully a couple more signings before the market closes. That can change dramatically in 2026. And if you think I'm reaching on that, fam, 2024 taught us that this franchise can make enormous leaps very fast when everything aligns. This is the part that genuinely gets me fired up. It is not one thing. It is not one player. It is the whole picture coming together. Okonquo giving Jaden Daniels a new weapon at tight end. Antonio Williams arriving ready to contribute from day one in the slot. Sonny Styles being deployed across multiple positions under a new aggressive defensive coordinator. And tonight, when that NFL schedule drops, we are going to see exactly when we get to Philadelphia, when Dallas comes to our house, and when the DMV gets to shine on a national stage. Raise hail, fam. If you are still watching, drop a like right now. It literally takes 1 second, and it helps this channel more than you know. And tell me down in the comments, is Chig Okonquo the quiet move that puts this offense over the top, or do the Commanders still need more weapons around Jaden Daniels to be truly elite? I want to read every single one of your takes. See you in the next one. Raise hail.